Today, we will examine artifacts in architecture believed to have contained energy harnessing technology, which may have been used to collect and distribute electricity directly from the atmosphere. We will explore cathedrals designed to produce and resonate sonic frequencies beneficial to physical health and spiritual enlightenment. Over the years, these buildings have been modified and repurposed, and their technological capabilities lost to time. Some of these structures have been buried and forgotten. Others, along with this technology, have been intentionally eradicated. In this presentation, I will also provide visual evidence, historical narratives, critical analysis, and speculative questioning to explore different theories and hypotheses regarding these artifacts and structures. I'm also interested in your theories and hypotheses as well. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. But remember, keep an open mind and respect the opinions of others as we explore these mysteries together. Different opinions are welcome, but hostility, insults, and closed-mindedness will not be tolerated. Now, on to the feature presentation. Architects of the Old World did not consider electricity merely as a utility, but as an essential component to life, just as the air we breathe and the water we drink. They used electricity and resonating frequencies to enhance physical health, wellness, and vitality. Not only could this technology lighten the night sky, but it could provide metaphysical, spiritual enlightenment as well. These dome buildings were ubiquitous throughout the world and were focal points of every World's Fair from the 1800s through the early 1900s. On top of these old world buildings, we often see metal rods or steeples. Steeples were types of antenna used to collect electricity from the atmosphere. Domes and steeples were originally clad in metals such as copper, gold, and other highly conductive materials. Pillars and other structural elements were then used as capacitors to store electricity. Most old world buildings we see around the world today have been significantly modified over time. Much of the precious metals have been stripped, and the energy harnessing components have been removed or modified. Onion domes, most commonly associated with Russia and Middle Eastern architecture, can also be found in other locations around the world. Onion domes generally consist of a metal cage, as well as some sort of rod running through this structure. The dome itself may have been more than just an aesthetic choice. Their capabilities could have acted as some sort of hollow resonators or energy amplifiers. When we look at some of these diagrams that break down the technical components of these buildings, we notice some claim to contain a substance known as red mercury. There have been debates for many years regarding red mercury and its unique properties, and if such a substance actually exists. During the Cold War, red mercury became headline news, with references to it first cropping up in major Soviet and Western media sources during the 1980s. In the US media, there were claims that it was a powerful catalyst the Soviets were using to amplify the destructive force of conventional explosives. There were also assertions that red mercury exhibited unusual thermal, magnetic, and radioactive properties. This substance was said to be found in very old television prototypes and other technology from the turn of the century. But around 2015, red mercury was once and for all proclaimed to be nothing more than a myth, and evidence of this substance nothing more than a hoax, according to all modern sources. Scam artists have made a lot of money selling a fake substance claiming to be red mercury. But does this mean red mercury does not exist? Is this substance being covered up and purposely dismissed by the media? What do you think? Leave your opinions in the comments section. When we examine old cathedrals, we notice the large archways, glass rose windows, vaulted ceilings with geometric patterns, and the massive steeples, which were most likely used to harness, store, and distribute electricity. But could there have been even more functionality to these buildings? Perhaps the window openings and ceiling patterns were more than just an aesthetic design choice. Could these elements have been used to direct and amplify cymatic frequencies and sound? Cymatics is a study of how sound and vibrations create visible patterns. It is fair to speculate that the architects of these old world buildings had great knowledge of the different energetic effects that each design would have. All sound has a frequency, and everything creates its own vibrational patterns. Even a completely silent room has its own sound. To test this theory, an independent researcher named Tanya visited various churches around Europe and recorded the ambient sound of these buildings. After she recorded the silent room ambience, she amplified the recording and played it back through a Cymatics device. Then she projected the sound through light and water to observe the patterns created by the frequency of each church. The patterns produced resemble the classic stained glass rose windows typically found in cathedrals. It is fair to speculate that cathedrals could have not only harnessed electricity from the atmosphere, but also been used to produce beneficial cymatic frequencies. Exactly how these cathedrals projected sound vibrations has been lost to time. Originally, these buildings may have had no doors or windows, allowing the wind to cause a building to sing. Perhaps the window openings worked as speakers, which amplified sound from these cathedrals, allowing beneficial sound and harmonic frequencies to be broadcast throughout the land. Organs and bells may have been used to expand consciousness and provide vitality to the townspeople. If this is true, then entering the cathedral would be a much more powerful way to positively influence health and consciousness. Perhaps it could even heal wounds and cure diseases. It might sound far-fetched, but considering our bodies are made of water, we can speculate that patterns made through resonance of music and sound could be used to create healing patterns within us. And there is some scientific research that may actually verify these claims. Professor Sungchul G. and John Stuart Reed of Rutgers University conducted an experiment in 2018 that concluded that red blood cells exposed to classical music had a significantly improved lifespan in comparison with blood cells that sat in silence. As evidenced by Tanya Harris's experiments, not all sounds need to be audible. Simply being near spaces or objects of cymatics resonance may be enough to receive the amazing properties, frequency, vibrational patterns that contribute to health and vitality. And if this is true, then we can also speculate that the diabolical elite controlling the world today may use negative frequencies to keep us unhealthy and accelerate death. In a previous video of mine, I briefly mentioned an automobile that was powered by electricity, which was pulled from the atmosphere. Electric cars were the standard over 100 years ago, but this one was a bit different. Here's what the article stated. This car contained an electric generator that could take electricity from the air. To demonstrate, the inventors borrowed an old electric auto, took out the batteries, and replaced it with their new atmospheric generator, which allowed them to drive off at a high speed. They stated There's nothing inside the drum that moves. The contents consist of iron, wire, and minerals. It can be used to drive any electrical apparatus and can be made in any size. The reason I'm mentioning it again in this video is because this technology may have been used in the past for other purposes as well. As we explore these next photos, I will provide minimal text to let the images speak for themselves. However, I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments section.